Okay, folks, I'm gonna keep her going where I left off because I got rudely interrupted in my last one. So here we go. Okay, I'm fairly sure I left off trying to describe these things, but this is like the spongicle where the water gets sucked in the middle of the sponge, and then these thingies like move the water along / get food, and then this is like inner sponge, which is like has these guys, and it's also like this yellow thing, which I'll get to later. Maybe. Gas exchange. Without respiratory organs, sponges have to use a different type of gas exchange. Tube sponges use filter feeding to extract oxygen from the water, while sea sponges and barrel sponges use small pores called ostia to enter the body of the sponge. This is poorly worded, Kaylin. I'm going to grab a drink of water. Oh man, my laugh sounds so weird. Ouch. Okay. Also, like stuffy nose. Okay. I'm gonna reread this because this makes no sense. Without respiratory organs, sponges have to use a different type of gas exchange. Okay. Tube sponges use filter feeding to extract oxygen from the water, while sea sponges and barrel sponges use small pores. While sea sponges. Okay, just read this. While sea sponges and other barrel sponge use small pores called ostia to enter the body of the sponge. That makes it sound, Kaylin, like the sponge is entering the body of another sponge. I think he's trying to say maybe. While sea sponges and barrel sponge, he lists a very general type of sea sponges, and then a specific type of sea sponge, barrel sponge. That's like saying, while humans and Caden Kruger go to the office. I don't know. Okay, I'm just throwing things out there, but that's not how you're supposed to word a sentence. And it's just all wrong. You should ask him about it. Okay, gas exchange part 2. Let's see if he did it better. The water goes through the sponges. Okay. Through the sponge's body with the help of cells called shades. What the fudge? Conocytes. Okay, I'm not gonna try. From now on, I'm just gonna abbreviate long words to the first letter. These cells contain flagella, which move the water in the sponge so it gets all of its oxygen. Circulation. The water flows through the sponge, and the sponge collects what it needs while the water is in the spongicle. Looks like a run-on sentence, and that's because it is, but it still makes way more sense than the ones that Kaylin did. And I did this one, by the way, but excuse me. Okay, so basically, as I stated earlier in my last video, before I was interrupted rudely by Screencastify being a dingus, was that the water goes through this soft sponge here and into the main body spongicle. Dang you. Okay, hold on. I accidentally swiped the touchpad on this Chromebook. Okay, yeah, you get the point. Next slide. Skeletal system. Some sponges have an exoskeleton made of calcium carbonate, which is deposited around their soft bodies, while some skeletons are spike-like structures and made of fibers of the protein spongin and mineral silica called spinacle. Okay, dang it. I told Kaylin to fix this slide, but Kaylin, you have failed this city. It's a reference to Green Arrow. Oh man, it's an okay show until like season 7, and then they just run out of ideas. Shouldn't even get to season 7. You should cut yourself off at like season 5 max. Like it just gets so bad. Okay. Yeah. There's no nervous system, which is great because I didn't want to have to do another slide. And Mr. Johnson was being okay, I guess. Okay, so I originally had like a bunch of no's on here, and then he was like, "Oh, no more words." So I just had one no, but I like this font, so I guess it's okay. Okay, nervous system. Yeah, sponges do not have a nervous system because the whatever systems that they evolved from did not have nervous systems. Basically, didn't know how else to describe it. Because I was like, "Hey, Mr. Johnson, what should I put? There's no nervous system." Because I showed him my screen full of no's, which was like ideal. He was like, "No, you should explain why they don't have a nervous system." Well, that's kind of like explaining why people have fingers. Oh, wow, why do people have fingers? Because their parents had fingers. And even if their parents didn't have fingers, it's probably a mutation. Why do people have fingers? Oh, well. What am I supposed to say? Okay. Yeah, this is the best thing I can come up with. Okay, movement. Sponges sway in the water with the current, but otherwise only the larval stage of the sponge moves. And the ocean sea current carries it, so it actually never moves. Okay, this is another badly worded sentence. Like, look at this thing. Oh my gosh. Okay. I think you get the point. Basically, the baby sponge, the like infant, newly born, I guess. I don't know. I don't know how sponge reproductive system works that well, but when it's just getting born, coming out of the top of the female sponge, it gets moved through the water, and then it lands on a rock or something. So that's the only part that it moves. Otherwise, it like sways in the water because it's not a solid. Usually, I assume most sponges aren't solid, so like they sway. Okay. Oh yeah. This is the part where I do a long, detailed explanation of the sponge. Okay. Ambioboites. Amboites. These guys. They're cells with pseudopods located in the mesofoil. Okay, so what that means, I'm reading off a sheet because I don't want to have to freaking space this out. Okay, there's cells with pseudopods located in the mesofoil used in processing food and distributing it to other cells. So these guys are like the food processors. They're located in the mesofoil, which is MESOHYL. This is basically this whole area in the middle of the sponge. It's this tan stuff. Okay, so it's in the meso whatever, and there's cells with pseudopods. Dang it. Okay, I don't have a pseudopod thing, but you get the point. It's used in processing food. This is like the food processor. Okay, next one.